Hey guys, welcome to episode 18 of Nemcast, and today we're joined by Waldo. So, if you'd like to introduce yourself, dude, and what you do quickly, and then we'll get the ad break out the way and we'll jump in.
Cool. So I'm Waldo. I run Waldo Dynamics by myself at the minute, and I make airsoft upgrades and parts, and I do a bit of video, though I'm a bit slow on producing them at the minute. But yeah, that's more or less what I do. I'm sort of a shop, and I actually manufacture all my own parts from scratch.
Awesome. And obviously we're joined by Dom.
Hi guys.
Who is the co-host and sort of a good mate of mine and a sponsored player, and you run Nemcast After Hours with Elliot.
You do.
So we'll get this quick intro out of the way, and yeah, quick sponsor back in a sec. Cheers, chap. Hey chaps, this is just a quick little ad break before we get back to the podcast. Now, this isn't even a paid advert, we're not sponsored, we're not affiliated with these guys financially in any way, but they have done our merch, and that's Invictus Morale. I was so impressed with the company's sort of work and how they liaised with us and how the whole process worked. I thought, you know what, it's well worth giving these guys a shout out. So they do all sorts of stuff from caps like the one I've got on, or this Tropic Multicam one. They do leather patches, they do normal patches, wallets, accessories, all sorts of custom bespoke things to suit you. So I really do advise you go and check out their website, which will be in the link in the description below, and I'll also just stick up their website here. So that being that, we'll get back to the podcast. Cheers, chaps. Speak to you soon.
So, yeah, Waldo, from the beginning, sort of tell us who you are. I mean, we know who you are. I think some of the community know who you are, but for someone who doesn't, who are you? What do you do? What are you about?
So I own an airsoft sort of manufacturer is the way I like to put it. But what we do is we have a store online. We're an e-commerce business. We make parts for airsoft guns, that be it ep.18, the high capper. We're moving into Glock now, the MWS, and we also do things like lubrication and things like that for them for maintenance. And we manufacture all our stuff, so there are no copies. Everything is made actually from scratch. We don't even use airsoft manufacturers, so everything is completely separated. It really is on its own.
And how did you sort of come about this? You know, for the MWS platform, I've always known stuff like a Dynamic Precision for their spring sets, and that was always the default go-to because they were cheap and they're always in stock. So how do you sort of come about saying, I want to bring these products into the market? Was this sort of something you had on your own? You sort of had a gap and went, I'm not happy with this, or was it something a bit more?
It's a combination of things. So I'm very lucky where with this sort of business, I can actually be really passion driven. So there is you have to look at something and you go, I really want to make this, but if it costs too much and I can only sell so many, then it doesn't warrant the effort to put in. But I'm very lucky where a lot of the stuff I want to make is affordable to me as a small business, and there is a market for it. So for things like the MWS, it's a platform I didn't even own until this year. And then I got one and I fell in love with it, and I noticed that there were parts that could have been made for it, and I've started making them, and I really enjoy them. It's really cool to make parts for something I really like and that I use. So whilst we do make parts for things like the AEP and the high capper, which I don't use very often, those products allow us to fund the real passion products of things like the MWS and other things I have in the pipeline.
Yeah, excellent. And sort of the lubrication side, where did this come from? Because obviously you've got your different viscosity. I think that's the right word, isn't it?
Yeah.
So have any of you used the thin stuff? I've not really used anything else. I was always using sort of the Abbey silicone oil. I think most people were to some degree. How did that sort of come about? Was that, again, a gap in the market, or just I want something better?
I think it was a combination of things. So I always thought that there's a lot of things in airsoft that are incredibly bland. And I find that sometimes they do the job, but they're not interesting, or it just feels like we need silicone oil. We'll tell someone to make it, tick the box, done. And it sort of ends there. So I wanted to make something that really stood out. It had a stupid USP, like it scented. Each bottle comes in quite a big serving. So we find that airsofters who play very often, like at least once to twice a month, they're taking a year and a half to get through 3 bottles. So their money is really well spent. It does last.
Oh, yeah.
And then something that I really aim for in my business is I try to make everything as user friendly as possible. So each bottle has written on it exactly where it belongs. So there's no Googling or anything, or should I buy this one or should I buy that one? They look at the bottle, it tells them, they know where to go.
Yeah, it's foolproof as best as it can be.
Yeah, try to
Until
be.
someone
I
puts
think
it in
the
the
words
hop
you're
unit.
dancing around, you're making it retard proof.
Yeah, exactly. Until people start drinking it, we're okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
WT-40 is definitely good for my airsoft gun, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Should
exactly.
put that all in there. Yeah.
I have a bit of that in the garage. That'll be fine.
So, at what stage did you think, right, I'm going to start manufacturing my own? And how did you even begin to do such a thing? Who do you approach? How do you even start, that's such an endeavor? Because it's not easy, I know, because we're looking at doing a few little things ourselves. So how did you even begin?
So I've got a long and annoyingly complicated career when it comes to airsoft. When things really started was I was getting involved more with Tap Airsoft, the US company, and that was sort of in 2018, 2019. They sponsored me for a bit, and then I said, "Hey, I think you should make products like this. I'm seeing people are asking for them. Or I think there's something in this for you." And they would show me a bit of the manufacturing, and I'm still friends with them today. They're really lovely, really sweet guys, really smart, and they were a great introduction to all of that. And then from there, I decided I would try something on my own. I noticed there was a missing recoil spring for the high capper. 130%. Everything was either too strong or not strong enough. So I made a middle ground. And it really hit the ground running very quickly. And then from there, I made the business Waldo Customs, which I ran for about 3 to 4 years with some other people. Eventually, that business sort of ran its course, and we had a disagreement about how things should be ran. So we went our separate ways. And then I've set up my own company, Waldo Dynamics, which is just me. I run it on my own, and it is difficult, but that's sort of how I got here. And yeah, that's where I
So
got.
how many years does that span over from, let's say, from start of Airsoft to starting your first company, which eventually sort of disbanded, to what is now Waldo Dynamics? What's that sort of time span?
I probably started properly airsofting in 2017, late 2017. I started Waldo Customs in maybe early 2020, late 2019. And then I started Waldo Dynamics just over a year ago now.
And how's Waldo Dynamics doing? Is it going in the direction you want it to?
Definitely. I have a lot of freedom to do what I like. I don't feel too constrained to only make this thing or only make that thing or pander this way. I can really do what I enjoy. So we just made MWS hop arms. That was a product I really wanted to make for a while. And I've been through some various testing with friends. We had a bunch of test beds. We had product samples, and now we're finally at a point where they're probably going to launch next week. So it's just really cool to be able to, think, oh, this is something I'd like to make. How do I go about that? And I'm lucky enough to work with a bunch of freelancers who totally understand how I work, and they're really, really cool people.
That's exactly what you need, isn't it? So, you know, when you're doing your sort of first test products, so you're sort of making some, what would the word be, prototypes, I suppose, say this hop arm, would it be something that's 3D printed first or resin printed, something to that accord, then you move to the CNC stage or whatever it might be?
That's a very good question, because it's sort of yes and no. So there are some parts where, for instance, we're working on an MWS Z plate, which is this like tiny plate here. And at the minute,
see, Dom's face lit up then. I'll be completely honest. I'll quickly drag this off. I'm an AEG tech primarily.
Oh, okay.
I've been doing AEG techs and sort of specialised in that for about over 13 years now.
Right, okay.
And gas is Dom's thing. I don't mind doing it, but I'm very much in the mind of, if people have gas guns, they need to know how to maintain their own thing. It's not really a tech's market for gas.
No.
So Dom will be leading all this. So when you say Z plate, I just go,
yeah, cheers. That's all right. It sort of applies to AEGs though. So we'll have a part and we'll go, okay, we want to make this. And and we want to achieve these things, and this is how it's different to what currently exists or what the stock piece is. I work with a guy called Luke at Bristol-based Airsoft. He's a really great guy for helping me with 3D related stuff. I started designing the Z plate after I had already designed an AAP short stroke kit, and I had that made. And that didn't need plastic test samples. We went straight to CNC, but it's a very basic shape. It's not complicated. And so my experience with 3D is quite limited, but I know what I want and how to get there and how it affects things. Luke is very good. He's very talented. He does things very quickly, and he understands how parts mesh together and why things should be the way they are. So I designed a Z plate. It was terrible. And I sent the design to Luke, and he revamped it, and now we're a much bigger step.
So does your mate Luke have his own business then?
He does. He runs.
Go on, just plug his business.
He runs Bristol-based Airsoft. His business is 3D printing. He does a lot of really cool 3D prints. He's one of those people where there's a dime a dozen 3D printed companies out there for airsoft. There are billions of them. But I know it's easy to say this because he's someone I work with and I consider a good friend, but I really genuinely mean it. For a guy who doesn't own an industrial 3D printer, the quality of the prints he's make is second to none. There's a lot of them where I can't find print lines. They're incredibly fine. They're straight off the bed. They look great. You're
probably talking like a 0.2 or something like that nozzle, I imagine, if he's doing fine quality stuff.
He's doing really, really clean stuff. He printed a handguard. I can find it. He printed a handguard for an RPK, and he posted it in this small business chat I share with some friends. And I was in disbelief that it was 3D printed, solely because I'm trying to find the word. It just looked injection molded.
Yes, there's no print lines, there's no faults.
Nothing at all. Nothing. I can probably send it to you quickly on Discord.
A lot of the modern printers nowadays as well, they can really push the boundaries of how good a quality you can actually get.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
We run a Creality K1. They're okay. I'd rather a Bamboo Labs, to be honest. And it's never as plug and play with 3D print, but it's getting dangerously close to that.
Yeah.
And you can get some banging quality. So what we'll do, just so if anyone wants to check out your mate's website, we'll stick it in the description below.
Please do.
And then after this recording, if you just send me a link to his website so I can make sure that gets edited in.
Cool.
So you've done the 3D print sort of thing, then you're moving on to what is it, laser cut those components you got there?
Yes. So Luke will 3D print it, and he'll just make sure that it fits. Like, does this fit in the gun? And there is very often we're designing parts that would not survive a stress test, and it's no discredit to his design or the plastics. The Z plate, what it's designed to do is it catches the bolt of a gas blowback, and obviously plastic's not going to survive the impacts that a spring is pressing against it. So it does need to be a form of reinforced metal. So he'll just make sure it fits in the trigger box. I'll go to a manufacturer I work with. I work with a metal manufacturer in Asia. I'll say, here's the design. I need X amount of test samples, post it to this address. And then I have people I send test samples to. I've got about 15, 20 friends who have a various amount of guns who are happy to test them. Some of them stock, some of them way aftermarket. And it's a great mesh to see what agrees and what doesn't agree. And yeah, they go ahead and test it, and then we either revise the initial sample with the changes we see fit, or we can just push ahead and actually get it produced.
Yeah, that's cool. So once because you obviously got the Z plate now, that's the next sort of big release for you. What's next on the plate? Have you thought that far, or is it just sort of by popular request, or how do you sort of pick your next project?
Our next one is the MWS hop arm. That is going to come out next week. We have a little one here. We got them in our beautiful masculine pink purpley color.
See, I love the colors.
Our logo's retro wave, so
yeah, you'll love it then.
See, I like the color of the parts, but you never see them. That's the problem.
I know.
I know it's fancy in there, but I just hide it from plain view.
It's funny really, because even me as an AG tech, you'll get SHS products that like a red cylinder head or I don't know, a fancy piston head or name it, and it's probably exists, or like oil slick color gears. You think really cool, but really fucking pointless.
Yeah, I think for us the main point is I open my gun, I sing pink. I know who makes that.
Yeah, it's a way of identifying. It's your brand as such. Yeah, it completely makes sense. It's for you, it's very much on brand. It's whilst when you see the other companies who do all these fancy different colors for no reason other than it's fancy color, you think this is it becomes just an extra cost.
Yeah,
but I can sort of see why you're going the route you go.
There is a point to our colors on springs. It is different there. So the coatings we use on springs are actually used in the real firearms world for their springs. And so what it does is it meshes with sort of lubricants and the metals of other things, and they glide across each other. So it's sort of like a polish almost.
Yeah, like a coating.
Yeah, it's more like a coating than a paint.
Help reduce friction and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And the other thing we do with our springs is the color actually correlates to the strength. So red is the strongest, pink purple is the middle ground, and blue is the weakest. So if you open a high capper, I see a pink spring. I know Waldo makes that, and I know it's his middle strength. So it does serve as another level of identification.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, harking back to the AEG side, ASG do something similar with their mainsprings.
Yes,
they got color coded. It does. It makes complete sense as to why you do it.
Yeah.
So you've got the hop arm. Are you moving on to anything like a TM MP7 or anything? Is there anything like that moving on the horizon? Because I get a lot of these MP7s across my bench at the minute, and it's always that is it sleepy trigger? I can't remember what you call it now.
Yeah,
where the trigger box is just bollocksed. And I've found a quick fix that sort of works. It can get people out the shit if you can drill it in a central enough position. You can actually use a split pin to sort of sleeve those holes where the sears sit. It's not an ideal solution, but it saves you buying a whole new MP7 and finding donor parts.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that on the horizon for you?
Yeah, I have a board where I have tons of things. So we've got 1,000,000,001 springs on the way. Whether they be, we have an MP7 nozzle spring, AAP hammer spring, MWS recoil springs, and we have some other springs that are in test sample phase at the minute. So things for like the GHK platform and that sort of thing. So the springs are fun, but they're not cool, and that's why I really like working on the hop arms and the plates, because although the springs are super useful and they're like incredible value for money for what you get, when you can really design something and you have a physical thing that's complicated, that's where I'm finding the most fun at the minute. So the MWS hop arm was a big one. I'm really surprised we turned that around so quickly. I thought that would take longer. I didn't think it'd be this year. We have a PTFE based grease, so we'll have a grease as well as a lubricant. It's a beautiful shade of pink.
Nice.
Yeah, it's super pink.
There's no mistaking that.
No. And we're going to get it in like a toothpaste tube, so you'll be able to apply it much easier, and it will fit in like a pistol pouch, so it'll be carryable. So we're working on things like that. I bought a Levar 15 from G&G.
Oh yes, the self-detonating Levar.
Yeah, exactly. And we're looking at I'm looking to see if there's anything I can make for that. And then so that's sort of where at the minute I really want to do, and it's something I really admire from other companies. These are all cool products, but I really want something super new. So like an example would be Hadron Airsoft. They make a low-key hop chamber for the AAP01.
Sounds right in here. Yep.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And it works.
It does.
It just works. Great. Good hop rubber, easy to do. So they even give you the drill bit.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't ask more than that. Literally, just don't tilt the gun, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. It's super awesome, and I really want a product like that, where it's like no one's done this yet.
It's your own. Yeah, it's your own design. It's very original in thought. Yeah. I have something very similar in my mind. I'd like to release something of my own that's not necessarily not been done before, but it's our take on it.
Yeah.
And it's, you can identify it from a distance as such.
Mm.
How do you find cash flow? Because obviously I have a small business. I've been only running for 3 and a bit years, and
Yep.
cash flow for me, I don't do this full time.
Mm.
It's a nightmare. I mean, it's not doing bad, but I find a lot of the time it's minimum orders this and large quantity that before you can even, make any money on it.
Mm.
Is that something you're running into, especially on the manufacturing side, I imagine?
So yeah, whenever I make anything, I'm getting hundreds to thousands of anything. So it's one of those things when you manufacture something on your own, the price per unit isn't a lot, but I'm having to buy 10,000 of them. So it's like, sure, it only cost as little as this each, but it's still costing me $7,000 to do that.
Mhm.
So like, it's push and pull with manufacturing. And what a lot of people don't forget is shipping is like ridiculously expensive. So like, our initial lube batch, the shipping alone was $2,500. And
how much lube did you get?
We
A lot
bought.
of lube.
Was it like a P Diddy quantity of lube?
We'd put P Diddy to shame, dude. It was mad. That was crazy. And then the other thing people forget is it takes up space. Like I'm just about to move. I'm about to move to Nottingham. And
you're only down the road from us.
Yeah.
You're Nottingham, aren't you? Don?
I'm Bingham. Yeah. So
Oh, cool.
depends what area of Nottingham you're moving into.
Lenton.
Lenton's okay. It's okay. At least
Yeah,
it's not
student area.
It's not Radford, so
No, and it's not Hyson Green. So
and it's not. It's definitely not Hyson.
No.
No.
Yeah, so that's going to be nice, and the place we're moving to is much bigger. But at the minute, I live in like a single person's house with no flat. Sorry. So I have to fit all my stock, all my packing supplies, all my normal life stuff. So it can be a bit frustrating when someone goes, I went to a manufacturer and they said it would only be...
You end up living work, don't you? This is the problem, especially when it's in your house as well. It's
For
a nightmare.
sure.
Commercial property's not cheap either.
No, and people really simplify it. They'll say, well, I've spoke to someone on Alibaba and they said I can get this for pennies. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to sleep next to your stock. You're not paying 4 figures for the shipping.
Sleep next to all that lube.
Yeah. And there's a lot involved with it that people really, I think, overlook. And I don't think it's in a ignorant way. It's more just they don't know the level of work.
It's more naivety than
it is
ignorance.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, go on, Dom.
No, you finished. Sorry, go on.
It's okay. I was just saying this is a backdrop behind me. I'm in a tiny little workshop. It's like a shoebox. I just sublet a bit off of my family firm's workshop. And in here I have to wedge all the rifles I'm working on and all the stock and a computer and 4 3D printers and 2 resin printers. So it's very cramped and sweaty in here. So I can feel you. It's not particularly easy wedging lots of things into a small space. No. So sorry, Dom, you were saying, mate.
I was gonna just ask some sort of technical question if I could. So this new MWS platform, people have done so many stuff and there's so much bits out there for everyone. What are you comboing this arm with? Because I'm sure people go, what's the best combo? The best barrel, the best hop rubber booking, whatever you want to call it. And what hop unit you're using. Is this sort of cross compatible with the Angry Gun stuff, which I don't personally rate, or you find it best with stock? Give us a bit of a quick breakdown of what you had the best results with that arm.
So I'll do it like I'll say it in 2 ways. So the first one sort of is an answering question, but it does after. So in terms of combos, something I really enjoy doing on the website, and I do find success in it, but everyone wins, is we do bundle sales where you can buy everything for that platform for like 15% off. So you can buy all our AAP bits and you save like a good £3, £4 or something, which basically means free shipping. And we are going to do the same with our MWS. So you'll be able to buy the plate, the hop arm, and then the nozzle springs, and you'll be able to buy all of them, and we'll call it like the starter kit, and you can get them all together. So in terms of, that's what I meant by that combo. That was my way of interpreting it. But in terms of things we've really tested it with, we've had a bunch of people test it. Well, we had one guy test it with Angry Gun stuff, didn't see an issue. Everyone else ran TM chambers because they seem to be the most popular just from the people we talked to. We had success with Flamingo hop rubbers. maple leaf hop rubbers, the stock hop rubber, and what I plan on doing is asking people who order, what did you use this with? And then I can add to the product description a list of definitely works with this, works with this, works with this, works with this, and it will be an ever-growing list.
I'm always trying to find a new combat. At the moment, it's the VFC foul. I'm trying to find the best hop rubber for that very proprietary nub and sort of barrel combo. We're still not getting there, and this is why I always like to ask, what are people using? And there's never a right or a wrong answer. It's what works for you.
If anyone watches this who has a VFC foul, for the love of God, put it in the comments and help Dom, because he's the pickiest bastard I've ever met. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Right.
No, I thought he was going to mention shame my foul. Yes, the cursed
your
stuff.
cursed foul, the one. Yes, if you saw a VFC foul on Facebook a while ago with laser engraving on it of a certain
sorry, one moment.
ethos,
unscripted.
Yes. We'll take a brief pause.
Yes, we decided
we'll chop back in a sec when Dom's got his
the purists. I don't know if you can see that spell Delphine.
Very good.
Laser engraved into the receiver.
It's so cursed.
And then as a little Easter egg, the serial number is a link to a well-known hentai site.
Oh, very good.
Don't search it, for the love of God.
Yeah. I mean, search it if you want, dude. It's
smelly weeb.
It was one of those of like, can we do that? He's like, yeah. It's like, can we do this as well? I was like, yeah, I'll do it for free. If you put it on your gun, I was like, yeah, go for it.
Amazing.
No, that's kind of craziness. But sorry, back to it. A bit of fun.
So you were saying with the hop combinations, then that's where you left off with the foul. Dom, what were you? I can't remember. You've thrown me off track by showing me that fucking awful Belle Delphine engraving. God, I hate that so much.
So I was asking about the best combos, and obviously it's saying, tell us what works for you. What would you if someone was to go, right, I want to get this hop arm, or I've just picked up an MWS, got this combo, I want to get the combo. What would you recommend as a really sort of good base level for them to try? What do you sort of fall back to?
The flamingo arm is really good. Flamingo bucking is super good. I've seen lots of cool stuff with that. 60 degree. I typically run 60-degree buckings across the board. I just keep it in the middle ground. I've never had an issue. The maple leaf MR bucking, that's the one I used to personally use, and I had lots of success with that. Never wore it out. Always shot pretty damn good. And then the last two, I would say the stock TM bucking is actually really good. It's initially designed to be used with 2.5s, but if you have a stronger hop arm, you can kick out a heavier weight. So if you just wanted to save, 10 pounds, you could actually get away with it, and you could comfortably use 0.3s or something. And then another one that's pretty good is the PDIW hold. It's getting harder to find, but it is a pretty solid bucking.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I've tried flamingos in mine and not had much luck. And whether that's just down to me or the way I've done it, and I've always gone to X range, the Modify X range. I've always seemed to. They seem to work. That contact patch is quite a nice taper, but it also seems, say, the maple to a degree, but seems a bit more stable in my opinion. But it's everyone's different.
One of our test guys used it with a Modify, and he was completely fine.
Yeah.
So that actually leads us on quite nicely. How do you go about testing all the products? Do you have a group of people that you send testing products out to, or do you do a lot of testing yourself on site? Or because obviously you mentioned you're in your own flat, even it's not like you've got a workshop, you can sort of actively test stuff. You can do so much in your home by shooting pillows and that sort of stuff, but you can never quite get the full result until you're out at range, setting the hop, getting it dialed in. So how do you go about that?
Well, I have a focus group of a huge variety of airsofters, so I make it very specific that I have speed softers in there, hard go milsimers, casual skirmishers, techs. I have a mixture of people including people who are very casual and rarely play, because you need to know someone who doesn't know anything, how they feel about something. So we have people like that in there, and they have a variety of people. So all the casual guys don't really put upgrades into their gun. And then the hard goers, every part is swapped. And so it's a good mixture of, can someone with no experience fit this? do they need a guide? Do they need instructions?
Yeah.
And is it like, is it idiot proof? And and does it work with other aftermarket parts, or is it not good with this specific aftermarket part? And a lot of them are regular pet players, so they can go out and they can test things for me where I'm not
so
able
at least, even if it's sort of regular, it's twice a month, you're going to get feedback fairly quickly.
Yeah.
What's the sort of turnaround time between, let's say you've now, I'm assuming you're going to get a small batch manufactured before you start sending them out for testers. What's that sort of time period between testing and release of a product?
It's a good question. So
on average, because I suppose it's going to vary between what you're doing, particularly.
For sure. So what I'll do is I'll have the idea. I'll talk to Luke and we'll design it. We speak to our manufacturer and go, here's the design. We need a quote. They go, okay, to get test samples, you might need a mold for this, or you want to do it laser cut, or this CNC. What metal do you want to use specifically? Do you want polishing? Do you want coating? With the hop arm, something that I haven't done too much of, which was really fun, is we could pick the quality control on every single surface. So we pick the quality control on the actual surface that touches the bucking to be absolute maximum. We couldn't pay for higher quality on the surface that actually matters the most, which makes sense. But it was
the most important bit.
Yeah, but it was the thing that was cool was I just hadn't worked with that yet, which is something I'm finding really exciting, is playing with quality control in areas where it does matter and it doesn't matter so much. So we did that. You get the test sample. People might not know this. Test samples cost an embarrassing amount of money. When we have test sample springs made, they're usually about $70 each.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's insane. And we typically also don't get them coated just because the coating process usually adds about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's even start to finish, the time alone, waiting from start to finish, just testing. It could take, I imagine, 6 months just to get the initial product on your bench to have a look at. It could be wrong, and then you're back to square one almost.
Yeah,
time's concerned.
I'm actually going to find when I asked Luke about the hop arm, and I can actually get you the date that I asked.
Yeah, okay. We'll just take a brief pause while Waldo's looking for his dates, just to quickly plug the Warhead discount code, because if I don't, you guys will miss out. So we only recommend Warhead BBs just because that's what I've always harped on about. I think they're good quality. They're a fantastic price as well. You get really good value for money. So if you use Courtney M5 with a capital C and a capital M, you'll get, I can't remember what it is now. Is it 5% off?
It is indeed 5% off all your order. So, if you're bulking up with your friends, getting so 5 kilos, 10 kilos in, you're basically getting your shipping almost for free. And you can't complain at that.
I believe it also works on the Warhead motors as well. So you techs out there who want to get yourself a Warhead motor for your next build, use that discount code. It'll get you a little bit off. It's better than nothing. So that being that, back to it. So there we go.
Cool.
Meme of the week. What's the meme of the week?
I don't know. Click the wrong button. Anyway.
It looks like June 14th was when me and Luke started talking about the hop arm, and we began that very day. We managed to turn around stuff pretty quickly. So, that's a good 4 months.
That's quick.
The arm was way quicker than I thought it would be. I've been still working on the Z plate, and I think I started that in January, maybe February. So things really vary. But the reason the plate is taking longer is because we've been through about 3 types of test samples, because we're really narrowing it down bit by bit by bit by bit. So yeah, that gives you a rough idea. Some things are very quick, some things are not. Like the test samples for the hop arm were perfect first time. There's no need to change anything, so we're very happy. So that's, if you get it right first time, it's 4 months.
That's not bad at all.
Fair enough.
No. From idea to products in someone's hand.
Yeah.
It must take a lot of work as well. It's there's a lot of time and money invested in something like that. You just pick it up and go, it's a hop arm.
Yeah.
And you don't quite realise what's gone into it. And is the return worth it? Are you able to properly pay yourself now, and you're making a good living?
Yep. I'm at a point now where I'm comfortable, and that's more than I could ask for, really. Like, I'm not fighting each month, but I'm also not rolling in Lamborghinis, and
No.
that's comfortable because the money the company doesn't pay me goes to the next thing.
Yeah, you're reinvesting. It's
Yeah.
speculate to accumulate. And it also, I suppose, because you're not, like you said, rolling in Lamborghinis, that sort of thing, it's driving you to get the next thing done, the
Yep.
next thing done, the next product, the next
Exactly.
innovative thing that you're working on. And then everyone's happy then because the customer gets new things and you get more money as you go along.
Yep.
So that's cool. That is going to work out. Go on, Dan.
I was going to say, maybe someone no one's asked you is how did you get into airsoft? Yeah, as in what brought you into this? What did you start as a sort of paintball, and how long have you been playing airsoft? Because you seem to have a good wealth of knowledge about what it is you want from something, and it seems like someone who's relatively new wouldn't really have an idea, of half the things you're saying. So have you been playing quite a while, or is it sort of a labour of love?
No, it's probably the most embarrassing thing about my entire thing with airsoft. So I started in 2018, and I've been on I've always been into it. I've always been into building. I really enjoy building, and that's why I do upgrades. I really enjoy making something. And I actually find that's genuinely 70% of the fun is sometimes building something you really love and is cool.
Yeah.
And so that was the real fun for me. And I do play, but I went 3.5 years without playing at one point, which felt insane. And then I got back to it, and I haven't played since December. So it's been a hot minute. And the truth is, it's because I'm so busy. And it's there's not a lot of airsoft in Lincolnshire. So if I want to play, it's more or less once a month. And if you're busy that date, then tough luck, it's next month.
Well, what's your favorite local to visit then when you do eventually get out? That once a year that you'll be seen in the wild.
Yeah, so that's typically I play it with Lincolnshire Airsoft Club, and they have a site called Combat Zone, which is a paintball site that gets used for airsoft once a month. I really love it. It's big, and the great thing about Lincolnshire is it's completely flat. There's not a single hill, so you're never going uphill. And it has structures and all sorts of stuff. So I really actually love being there, and everyone's there is chill, and I think they average 100 people. So you're getting really good fun out
Good
of it.
numbers for a site, that.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So go on, Dom. Sorry, dude.
So did you get the opportunity to play where you was at NAF at all? Because obviously you had a stall you put out. Did you not get sort of cheeky game in there, or a game, but an hour out just to sort of stretch those legs? Or
I've been going to NAF every year since the first one after COVID, which I think was 2021, 22.
I bumped into you one NAF a while ago. Because I believe one of my sponsor players, Ross, actually dragged me over and went, "That's Waldo." I went,
right.
Hello.
Run away.
But how did you find NAF this year? Because obviously it was a little controversial this year.
For sure. I'll be completely transparent. So basically I had organized to go to NAF before they had done any publicity. So I'm good friends with the guys at AirTac. I'm very good friends with them. They're super lovely. They've been very helpful to me. And they basically said, we have a stall at NAF. There's space for you. Do you want to sit with us and have your own space? They were extremely kind. They didn't say I had to pay anything. I stayed at their accommodation. The only money I paid was to travel there. And
that's ideal.
They're so kind. They're genuinely the nicest people. They were super funny, and I had a great time. And so I organized that, and then the stuff started coming out about price hikes and issues of facilities and this and that. And I was in the group of I don't think this is good enough, and I was still going, but a bit of me was like, I'm glad I don't plan on sort of paying to be there this year, and I'm glad I don't plan on playing.
It's no skin off your nose if it's a shit show.
No, and I was in the camp of I reckon this will be very quiet, this NAF, and I was very pessimistic, and And then I got there and I was proven incredibly wrong, and it was very embarrassing. People there were super lovely. The guy who runs NAF, he came over to our stall and he said, "You've got the prettiest stall out of anyone," which was super kind of them. We did put effort into it. It was pretty. There was loads of people. I think the online tickets finished at something like 2,800, and it did feel like 2,800. It did absolutely piss it down, but otherwise,
Yeah, we saw because one of our sponsor players, Elliot, he was at NAF, and those people's tents flooding from what we could see. It wasn't good. We were at the Shift Your Rift event. I think it was Shift Your Rift that time. It was just the normal Rift. I can't remember. It was one of the Rift events. I think it was normal.
It was the first one. Yeah.
And yeah, we chose to go to the Rift event over NAF this year for the first time, purely because we just went. We liked having a private toilet by the camping area, and that's what put most of us off.
Yeah.
But I am still tempted to go this time around. Will you be attending the next one, I assume?
I would like to. Yeah, it was lots better. There was also twice as many stalls. The secondhand sales were good, and they were probably cleaning the toilets every 5-6 hours.
That's good. Yeah,
it was really good. There was every time I went to the bathroom, there was someone there cleaning, with like a proper machine and everything. And honestly, I genuinely, if it wasn't for the weather and some of the mud, and it did clean up, it only rained for a good few hours. It genuinely would have been an absolutely fine event. I didn't have any issues. I didn't play the airsoft, but otherwise, if you were just there socially, it was great.
So that's definitely one to watch for the next year. Then I think, assuming nothing else super stupid happens or ungodly controversial again, then we'll probably all be there.
Yeah, so a lot of controversy this week, and it's only Monday. In the airsoft community.
We'll not even go there. That could be an after-hours thing.
That's
we'll avoid that one.
So whereabouts can people find you if they're living under a rock? What sort of socials have you got? Where can we find you, your products, your videos? What's where?
Cool. So we are pretty much Waldo Dynamics unanimously everywhere. So you can find us on Instagram at that, Facebook at that, YouTube at that. And
all the links will be in the description below.
Oh, cool. Thank you. And it's waldodynamics.com. And yeah, we're about. I also have a Discord server, which I'm frequently in. It's got about 700, 800 people in it. Every order from our website actually gets a physical invite to it, which I have here. And so you get like your own little invite for it.
That's cool. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, it's a little thing. Every order gets like a couple stickers and an invite.
I like that sort of stuff because at Nemtech we've got sort of a little bit of merch. We've got stickers, we've got the hats that we've got on now. It's just little things. But you seem to have nailed that sort of merchandising and the little things really, really well.
I think it's important, and I like to give people as much as I can afford. Like patches are free in orders over £35, and we do these saver deals, and we have Black Friday coming up, which I have special stuff planned for. So yeah, I do my best to make sure people get their money's worth. Yeah.
Have you? Because I was part of the Waldo's, your Discord group. That's how I got in touch with you initially.
Yeah.
To get you on the podcast. Now, I didn't notice if there was a secondhand Rift sale thing, but if there was, has that whole kibosh on that affected you in any way? Because I know Discord sort of put a big ban on that, didn't they?
They did. So that's pretty much only if you're selling stuff secondhand. They don't care if you link to websites where stuff are. So you can link to guns, you can link to your own website, you can link to AFUC listings of your own stuff. So yeah, you don't need to
kind of get around it.
That's easy. Yeah. It's not too bad.
Yeah. Just been here one day and gone the next. It was like, where do we sell all our stuff now?
I know, it does suck.
Yeah, it's like online browsing. It was great. It's like, I don't want that. And just after
I mean, at the start of the year, because when we first sort of started the podcast properly, I thought, right, I'm going to get on Discord and just start reaching out to people who I, see and bump into or whatever, and it just helps share the YouTube channel out a little bit. And since the initial bonk on second-hand rifle sales has come about, some of the bigger Discord groups I was in have just sort of they've gone quiet. They're almost completely dead.
Yeah.
So I was just more or less wondering if that affected your group at all, but it seems to have not so much.
To be honest, the sales was the smallest part of our Discord, so it really wasn't sort of a chunk off of us. We were doing all okay.
That's fair enough. So you use it more as a social and advertising platform, just sort of get some feedback on the products, that sort of thing.
We actually have something really cool that I don't see a lot of companies do. So our server has an announcements channel where we ping people if something cool is for sale. We have a lot of social, lots of help and advice. We have a night vision section, a share your stuff section. And then something we have, which I find really helpful and cool, is we have a product journal where any product we're making, you can see the exact step in the process it's at.
Oh, like a roadmap.
Yes, you get a roadmap for every product we make. So
that's cool.
We have, it will literally be like, we had the idea, we've submitted for a quote, we got the quote back, the sample was good, the sample was bad, resubmitting, packaging and design, order shipped, estimated 7 days. So if you really are like keen for something, you're never left guessing. You can just check the journal and see where I'm posting about it, and I'll put the pictures.
You know to leave 30 quid or whatever it is spare on your next paycheck because you want the new hop arm or you want whatever it is coming out. That's a good marketing strategy as well. Thinking about it, it's a good way for people to prepare.
Because that saves you a lot of hassle when people say, not hassle, but when they say, oh, when's this coming out? When's this coming out? And it's like, it's all there. You can
just send them the link. It's there.
Yeah. It's like, we're at this bit. No, we didn't like the packaging. Get a new one. But,
so you said you were moving to the Nottingham area. Where are you planning on visiting any sites immediately when you get there? And what's the first ones you intend on sort of hitting up?
So the thing I dodged out on before was I've probably only played Airsoft maybe 20 times or less, and I hate that. I really, really, really want to be playing more.
What holds you back?
Availability of site and travel. I'm just about to finish learning to drive, and the closest site in Lincolnshire was an hour, and it was once a month. So it was perfect storm, really. But by the time I'm in Nottingham, I'll be driving. I have a friend who you've met, Surefire, who lives around that way.
Oh, Surefire, yes, we've had him on the podcast.
Yes, yeah, I've seen it.
He was the one that put me onto you.
Yeah, no, he's lovely.
He's moving to America soon, isn't he?
Yeah. So despite moving to Nottingham, I'll only see him for I think 2-3 months before he dips. And he gave me a list of sites that were really good. I know it's close to the jail, about an hour from the jail or the goal.
The jail. I have to do that. The jail, the goal.
Yeah.
Yes, and Justin's a top bloke who runs it. A grumpy top bloke.
Yes.
I'll say that to his face. He's a lovely bloke, but he's
take a seat for that safety brief. Just take a seat with you.
I've heard the story.
That scene where he pulls out the fold-out chair really quick.
But the thorough, given that, and it's a really great site. If you haven't been there, the food is great as well for the price. Cool. You know, 40 quid, or it might go up by the time there's maybe not. But you get a good lunch. It's actually decent food. It's not just off the burger van, and they actually care. It's a good site. I think you'll really enjoy it. Just take a torch.
Oh no!
Unless you got nods, and if you don't worry about getting shot, you'll be fine.
No, I've got torches. Don't worry.
Well, if you do ever struggle to get somewhere, and for whatever reason your car's not ready yet, or whatever it might be, we can certainly get organised and give you a lift.
Oh, cool! That'd be awesome.
We go airsofting at least minimum once a month between us as a big group.
Oh yeah.
And we tend to sort of knock about with a group called Tropic Thunder Group. They're a really nice bunch of lads, and we tend to sort of organise not big events, but where there's probably 30 odd people, where we'll all meet up and sort of absorb half a team. It's quite amusing sometimes.
I think it's split up because there's too many. Yeah.
Yes.
Immediately, no.
We've just been to Optac the Kingdom, which is an hour from my workshop, which is in Matlock. That's a fantastic site. It's well worth a look into. And I didn't even know it really existed until the other weekend.
It's a good site. It's really well kept as well. They maintained a lot of it, which is nice when you see people actually look after the place they play at.
Oh, and they've got vehicles and everything. It's nice. When you've got vehicles giving you a lift somewhere. So when you're absolutely knackered, but you want to play that last game, you can hop in the back of a landy and they'll give you a lift somewhere, drop you off, and then you can just gently waddle to the next objective. It's ideal.
Okay, cool. I'll
especially in
definitely do
my
that.
current level of health, where I struggle to walk upstairs without being out of breath.
I see. Fair enough.
So, right, is there anything else you want to sort of plug or do before we start to wrap up the podcast? Because we're coming up to 50 minutes.
I'll plug something super quick. So,
No, by all means.
there is completely fairly a lot of confusion when it came to Waldo Customs to Waldo Dynamics. And the easiest way to put it is I owned it with someone and we disagreed, and we've decided to go our separate ways. And recently I bought all of the stock from Waldo Customs as it's now in closure. So in the next coming weeks, any product that Waldo Customs sold will be on my website as discontinued stock. So if anybody was wanting anything like that, we had our like classic weave holsters and a bunch of very specific springs and valves and stuff. So if there's anything you miss from those days, we are going to have it on our store.
So while it's available, get it bought.
Yeah.
It's a one and done deal. That's
Yeah.
it. Once it's gone, it's gone.
And pretty much unless we see it's very popular from the discontinued thing, we might make something in a similar vein. Not exactly the same. We'll put our twist on it, but otherwise, yeah, once it's gone, it will probably not come back.
Fair enough. So basically, watch your socials. For those who are watching, get yourself on Waldo's Discord, and just keep an eye. It's the best thing if you're looking for those certain products, by all means.
Definitely.
So that being that, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. Thank you for coming on, dude. It's been a pleasure.
No, I've had really good fun.
When you're in the Nottingham area, we'll certainly get it sorted and we'll all meet up for a game day, even if we have to come pick you up because you're only a stone's throw from us.
That's all right. Cool.
We'll drag you out to an airsoft game, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, drag me out.
Do you have any hobbies outside of airsoft, like 40k, anything like that too? Is that anything you got
sweaty
into?
Nerd like us.
Yeah,
I do, but I don't know if they're your thing. I'm a pole dancer.
Bussing.
I have a pole.
Yeah, I was thinking, is that decorative or not? I didn't want to ask.
Oh god, it's going to get so messy if he ever comes to a workshop night.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
I do pole dancing. I used to do lots of rock climbing, and obviously I'll be moving near the Nottingham Climbing Centre. Yeah. The opposite side.
Oh, the opposite side. Okay.
Yeah, there's two. So I'm going to be doing that, and then I also do photography and that kind of a thing. So unfortunately not into 40k, but I really hope Henry Cavill gets his deal on it because
yes, we've all been watching very intently. We've had this same conversation with Larry the other month about the same thing. We're all like, I hope Henry Cavill's 40k series actually comes off. Everyone's excited for that, and it isn't like a Witcher scenario where you get a really okay sort of setup. It's the base is there, but then it goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, 40k is not a game I would want to play, but I'm absolutely fascinated by the lore of it.
It's the same with me. I have a massive, what you call a pile of shame, where you get the figurines, you glue them together, and then you leave them unpainted.
You hide them.
But then you buy more, and then you build those, and then it gets worse and worse.
And then you get a resin printer like I've got and print more.
Oh yeah.
So you can add to the problem. And then we've started playing D&D as well, which isn't helping because that's also another pile of unpainted stuff. But it's all good fun.
Right.
So yeah, that being that, chaps, I think we'll all sign off. So I'll end the recording now. So don't forget to like and subscribe. I nearly forgot. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Put a comment in the comment section below and do all that good stuff. And check out Waldo's stuff and go and give him a like as well. So
if you haven't already, guys, pop over to the Nemcast After Hours where we talk about all things debauchery. There are no holes barred. Feet are included. Come on. It's all good.
Basically, I've given Dom and Elliot another podcast and I just let them be.
Oh, cool.
So I'll probably regret that in a few years. We'll find out. So that being that, cheers, chap.